Our next speaker is Srimati R. Rajalakshmi. Srimati R. Rajalakshmi has devoted herself to socio-spiritual work in the last 2 decades. She is one of the co-founders of Dharma Rakshana Samiti, headed by Swami Dayanand Saraswati, one of the greatest exponents of Vedanta philosophy. She is also the founder and trustee of Hindu Spiritual and Service Foundation, an initiative for moral and cultural foundation. She has co-authored the compilation of 18 volumes on expounding the samskarams, or spiritual training, to impart the 6 values to school children. At present, she is pursuing her doctoral studies on the subject, Indian Economy is Feminine in Character, at the Shastra University. Srimati R. Rajalakshmi.
Namaste. My namaskarams to the sages and the elite audiences here. I'm delighted to be present at this August meet to share my thoughts on the subject environmental consciousness, which has been profoundly pitted in the concept paper of this August meet against environmental regulations, on which much emphasis has been made in recent times. Environmental regulation is institutional restraint on human propensity to invade and consume the environment and ecological resources beyond the capacity of nature to replace them. Based on science and logic, environmental regulation resets on external enforcement, particularly nation, states, global treaties and codes. But environmental consciousness is voluntary, restraint towards nature, inherited by philosophies, faiths, cultures, and actualized through rituals, which prevent human deviance towards environment and all living beings. There is a paradigm difference between ecocentric philosophies, which see nature and humans as interrelated and integrated, and anthropocentric ones, which posit humans as the master and nature as subordinate. The world has been witnessing the rise, spread, and domination of anthropocentric philosophies, faiths, and ideologies through colonialism, modernity, and globalization, which tend to. While environmental consciousness tends and works to build an ecocentric society that consciously protects nature, environmental regulations tend and work to contain an anthropocentric society which consciously erodes nature. I focus on environmental consciousness, which is one of the fundamental themes of this meet. Environmental consciousness is ingrained by tradition and rituals practiced by communities and sanctioned by religion to live in harmony with nature, maintain the balance between nature and humans, and restrain them from making demands on nature beyond its capacity to afford. Deep environmental consciousness has been integral to human life in ancient times and inherent in all ancient faiths and cultures all over the world. The Hindu-Buddhist faiths and cultures, in particular, are ecocentrics in their philosophy and practices by inseparably relating the humans and environment through faith and rituals. In Hinduism, in particular, an elaborate ritualistic model exists which deeply ingrains environmental consciousness in humans. The 4 great spiritual streams which emerged out of ancient India, Buddhism, Hinduism, Jainism, and Sikhism, speak in one voice on how the entire universe, which includes humans, is one and inseparable entity. The Hindu spiritual text Ishavasya Upanishad says, as translated by Mahatma Gandhi, that everything down to the finest atom, the Panchabhutas, earth, water, fire, air and space, is manifestation of the divine. The Kalachakra Tantra, the Buddhist scripture says, earth, water, air, fire and humans all emerged out. The Jain text Bhagavan Mahavir's Achara Sutra Panchabhutas, earth, water, fire, air and space are not lifeless matter. They have alma, a soul. The Sikh text Guru Granth Sahib says the Panchabhutas, earth, water, air, fire and space and all living beings, O Bhagavan, are only thee. They are strikingly similar not only in thought but also in words. The creation, the universe and the world are sacred, manifestation of the divine and not just secular or economic assets. The humans are integral to the entire creation and not its master. This is how these four faiths propounded and expounded ecocentric human life as distinct from the current anthropocentric paradigm. The consciousness that man is part of nature and not independent and certainly not its master is fundamental to protecting and sustaining environment and ecology. To ingrain, sustain, keep alive this consciousness and to internalize the idea of non-violence as much towards nature as towards fellow humans, the ecocentric faiths, these faiths have built in human lifestyle which reserves nature. The reverence for nature, seeing nature as manifestation of God or divine or the ultimate reality, is inherent in these faiths and cultures. The idea of reverence is not theoretical, to be just spoken or written. It is to be practiced and internalized through samskaras, a training module practiced in day-to-day life. The Hindu philosophy has internalized the samskaras through symbols which exemplify and expound the themes of environment and ecology. The Hindu culture has made tree a symbol of forest and prescribed Vrikshavandana as reverence towards trees, as the attitude of human for forests. Unless humans revere the tree, the forests are not safe. The Hindu culture seeks to worship even wild animals like snakes, as without wild animals, the forests are left unprotected. The science today has established a direct and mutual correlation between forest coverage and wild animal population. The decrease in one brings about the reduction in the other. Likewise, the Hindu culture prescribes worship of water, Ganga Vandana, and earth as Bhumi Vandana, and celebrates all rivers, lakes and ponds to inculcate environmental consciousness and protect water resources. In the same way, the Hindu culture inspires the faithful to worship the cow as Govandana, worship the elephant as Gajavandana, and plants as Tulasi Vandana to inculcate ecological consciousness and ecological culture in humans. So there are two aspects to environmental and ecological protection implicit in the Hindu philosophy. One, the thought and consciousness that man and nature are not independent but inseparable and integrated. This is fundamental to environmental and ecological protection. Here, in philosophic terms, humans see themselves as none superior to trees, plants, animals, water, or a piece of earth. This includes even perceiving wild animals as the balancing phenomenon for environmental protection. Second, to actualize the consciousness, the Hindu philosophy has prescribed samskarams or samskaras, which are equated to rituals, which they are not mere rituals, of reverence to trees, plants and animals. The samskaras are voluntary, subordination to man, to concede to the superiority of nature, of which the human himself is part. These two aspects have sustained the environment in India more than any law or regulation. Traditions are the most effective institutionalization of environmental and ecological consciousness. The Samvad series ought to continue to emphasize the environmental consciousness, which are people-centric and spiritual, and promote ecocentric life on earth. Environmental regulations, as the Prime Minister of India said in his speech, is an inferior protection to nature and environment as compared to aroused and deep environmental consciousness. In the contemporary world, called quote unquote modern world, environmental consciousness, which is spiritual in its origin and content, needs to be supported by education for maintaining, sustaining, explaining and rationalizing deep environmental consciousness. The contemporary education needs to be reviewed and restructured both in philosophy and in content to internalize the spiritual values, samskaras, and actualize environmental safeguards, protection, and celebration. As a doctoral student in pursuit of further knowledge in economics at Shastra University in India, I appeal to the great religious and spiritual masters to commend to all nations to promote philosophies which inculcate environmental consciousness. I thank the organizers of Samvad for having provided an opportunity to a student like me to share my thoughts before an unbelievably high quality audience difficult to assemble. Thank you.